Yo, what is up, guys? Your boy IzuKage here with part 3 of What If Deku Was a Villain. So this is really overdue, so I'm not even gonna say much. Let's get right into the what if. So for a refresher, cause it's been a while since the last part, Izuku has been, slinging dope, and after a setup from one of his most trusted buyer, Izuku got cornered by two pro heroes, Kamui Woods and Eraserhead. Izuku tries using his quirk, but with the two of them there, it wouldn't work. So without any options, Izuku was ready to give up, but he got a chance. Aizawa went to capture Izuku with his scarf, but as that happened, a sword came from the top of a building, pinning the scarf into the ground, and everyone looks up to see a blood-stained scarf flowing through the wind. And that's where we left off. So, the hero killer Stain enters the battle. He jumps down, blocking another one of Aizawa's scarf attacks, and he turns to Izuku and said, "Kid, seems like you're in a bit of a pickle. Need help?" Izuku, still very confused, says, "Who are you?" Stain's like, "Don't worry about that. It's either you get captured by these guys or you come with me." And Izuku, with little time to think, because Kamui was setting up for an attack, he says, yes, like, help me out. And Stain is like, "Just know you owe me something, right?" And Izuku's like, "Wait, who owe you what?" But before Izuku could even comment on what Stain just said, Stain grabs him and starts wall jumping from building to building, the two buildings making the alleyway. And Kamui tried using his wood to whoa, that kind of sounds away. He tries using his trees, tries using his trees to capture the two, but he was too slow. Well, I mean, more like Stain was too fast, and they got away, leaving the two heroes empty-handed. To Izuku, he was being carried away with Stain, and Izuku was really exhausted, so he couldn't really flail around, do anything like that. And Stain brought him to a hideout, and Izuku, like, in the hideout, Stain placed him on this cold metal table and begins strapping him down. And Izuku is thinking like what is going on, and he's too weak to even try and escape. And Stain, he starts searching through the drawers, the different cabinets, and he pulls out this giant cartoon-like syringe, and he injects Izuku with this whatever was in it. And Izuku's minds begin racing, thinking the worst, but he actually felt pretty good. He felt replenished, he felt energized, and some of his bruises, like from the little scuffle they had, started to heal. But right after his high of energy, he fell into a deep sleep. 2 whole days later, and Izuku woke up on the same metal table, still strapped in, and he was being blinded by this bright light shining into his face above the table. He squints trying to look around the room, but it was pitch black, like he couldn't see anything. And soon a man came out of the void. So the man says, "You seem to be a good candidate. Now hold still." The man grabs Izuku's head, and a flash of light appears, pointing out, 6 other people behind the man. But Izuku had no time to focus on them, as his body began moving on its own, out of instinct, out of the sheer pain he was going through. Still strapped down to the table, Izuku's body began flailing around in agonizing pain. The man looking on and, begins slightly chuckling. And he says, "Seems you brought a good one this time, Stain. You're off the hook. Just don't ever show your face around here again." And with that, one of the shadows behind the man disappears, and, as did another come forward. A man made out of mist approached Izuku, and, still writhing in pain, mind you, screaming at the top of his lungs. But he was soon quieted by another dose of injections. Izuku's movements began to slow, and only got to see the helmet of the man before he passed out. Izuku woke up in a bed this time. He begins looking around, seeing other similar beds to it, and heard footsteps approaching. Izuku tried moving, but he was too weak, and the door opened. A tall man with black hair and stitched together burnt skin entered. Seeing Izuku, the guy who we know as Dabi freezes, and when both their eyes make contact, Dabi runs back downstairs and screams, "He's awake, he's awake!" And Izuku, now hearing multiple footsteps coming, tries his hardest to get up, but as he gets on his feet, 2 seconds later he falls to the ground exhausted. The first one to enter the room was this girl with blonde hair and a cute face. She had on a schoolgirl outfit, and seeing Izuku, she jumps onto him, who was still struggling to get up, and says, "Hi, I'm so excited to meet you." And Izuku was frozen, but managed to get out, "Who are you?" And this girl speaks, "Oh, sorry. My name is Toga. What's your name?" Izuku? And Toga shoots up and says, "Hi, Izuku." So Toga begins introducing all the members of the League of Villains. And she's like, "This is the boss. He's really grumpy, so don't get on his bad side. This is Dabi, and he's really hot-headed. Get it? Hot? Cremation. And my bestie, Twice." Yo, I can't do that voice, honestly. And Twice, seeing Izuku, he's like, "Hey, what's up, kid? Do I have to kill you?" And Izuku looking, he's weirded out. He's understandably shocked, confused, and still in a lot of pain. Shigaraki then spoke up, "Toga, Twice, get out." And Toga frowned and said, "I guess I'll... Bro, I can't." And she says, "I guess we can chat later, Izuku." And as Twice was leaving, he said, "See you, young man." And he leaves. So as both of them left, Dabi went up to Izuku and picked him up and puts him back on the bed because he was on the ground. So he then lit Izuku's legs on fire, like with his cremation, but instead of burning, it actually felt really good. Those flames seemed to have healed Izuku's fatigue. So I'm giving Dabi that ability to be able to heal with his fire. So Shigaraki then instructed Izuku to follow them, which he did clumsily because he was still uncomfortable walking. So after walking for a bit, they came to this open area. It looked like a battlefield, and Shigaraki and Dabi put Izuku there, and they went to an observation area. Then a Nomu came out of the door opposite to where Izuku came out of, and it began rushing at Izuku. And as it went for a full powered punch, it stopped before hitting Izuku. It stopped, it hit something, but nothing was there. So an invisible force was blocking Nomu's punch, and Izuku, who was looking away, expecting to be blown away by the punch, was just waiting for the worst, but it never came. He turned to see the struggling Nomu, who was now punching rapidly at the air. It was just punching rapidly at the air. After a minute of just this, a portal appeared under Nomu, teleporting it back to its holding area. And Shigaraki and Dabi now returned and explained to Izuku, he had a new quirk, and I'll just tell you what they tell him. So Izuku's new quirk is the ability called Force Field. As the name suggests, Izuku can create invisible force fields capable of blocking heavy hitters with ease, like Nomu, All Might, heavy hitters that super strength quirks. But he can also use it offensively, surrounding his fist and acting as a sort of boxing glove, which adds some extra punch. So after hearing this, Izuku was pretty excited to test out his new abilities, but a large TV in the room turned on. It showed All for One. Then he spoke up. "Now, Izuku Midoriya, will you help us kill All Might?" And Izuku looked confused, why would I ever try and kill All Might? Then All for One said, "Oh, it seems you've forgotten." And saying this, All for One activated one of his quirks, and Izuku fell to the ground, holding his head in pain, and false memories began going through Izuku's brain. Memories of All for One killing his mom, when, you know, he was fighting a villain. All these memories obviously being fake, but Izuku was none the wiser. He began developing his hatred towards All Might, and he looks back at the screen and says, "I'll love to see that damn All Might dead." And All For One begins chuckling. "I like your spirit, but if you can't defeat a Nomu, you don't stand a chance against All Might." So with that said, Shigaraki and Dabi went up to the observation room, leaving Izuku there to fight 3 Nomus at a time. So fast forward 5 hours and we see Izuku all battered and bruised on the ground from just straight fighting, but he managed to win. Kind of in a sly way. He would use the barrier to cause the Nomu to start punching rapidly, and as another Nomu came closer, he would drop the barrier, causing them to like injure each other. So that went on, and so Shigaraki grabbed Izuku by the back of the collar and started taking him back to his room. He threw him on the bed and he said, "Rest up. Tomorrow we'll be taking on those UA students." And with that, I'm going to be leaving this one off. Obviously in the next part we'll be having the USJ attack. And yeah, if you guys like the video, like. If you like my content in general, why not subscribe? And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next What If.